In 1946, the governmental orders for the Il-4 bomber ceased. Still, the team, which numbers several thousand people at the time, did not sit idle. At the time, people badly needed common things for a peaceful life. The plant started making everything it could, while using everything it had. It started making tableware, beds, furniture, overalls, trolleys, bicycles, you name it. Certainly the consumer good production was important, but it was clearly well below the skills of the plant's personnel. The plant needed a plane to make, and such a plane appeared in the form of the Li-2 transport. The advent of the Li-2 became a kind of symbol of the time of peace. The early planes made by the plant took to the skies in 1947. The Li-2 had been in production until 1950. 20 out of the 355 units were in the passenger variant. In spite of the huge experience gained during the war, the production of the new aircraft was not smooth. Its pedigree was to blame. The Li-2 was a company of the U.S. Douglas DC-3. The conversion of the inches into centimeters proved troublesome to the plant's engineers. The drafts included tenth, hundredth, and even thousandth parts of a millimeter. Nonetheless, the production of the aircraft was a good school in civilian plane construction. In 1977, the plant took part in making the Ilyushin 62M airliner. In the late 90s, KnAAPO made the Beriev 103 light amphibian and its modifications, and the Sukhoi 80 multifunction civilian aircraft as well. Today, KnAAPO is a full-fledged participant in the Federal Civil Aviation Development Program.
Итак, встречайте, Сухой Суперджет 100!
The Sukhoi Superjet 100 regional airliner. The aircraft was unveiled in Komsomolsk-on-Amur in September 2007. For the first time in history of Russian aviation, the plane became the hero of a truly breathtaking show. And it was not just an obvious attempt to follow the aviation fashion. Now the Sukhoi Superjet 100 is among the most promising programs of the Russian civil aviation. As part of the Sukhoi holding company, KnAAPO joined the development of the aircraft as far back as 2003. KnAAPO is the maker of main assemblies, including its wing, to fit the Sukhoi Superjet 100. Under the Regional Airliner Development Program, a whole range of industrial installations has been reconstructed and new shops have been erected. The company has introduced unique equipment to its production facilities. The advanced equipment enabled KnAAPO to introduce dozens of high-efficiency manufacturing processes. Today, the equipment the company buys is not just nice, trendy gear, rather elements of technology. What did it enable us to do? Firstly, we at least have the pre-production, design, and production cycles. That is, the current tempo and scale of producing the aircraft are actually record-breaking for Russia. May 19, 2008 saw an historical event, the maiden flight of the Sukhoi Superjet 100 regional airliner from the factory airfield of KnAAPO. In October 2008, the aircraft passed the development trials and was issued its experimental airworthiness certificate. The second prototype flew in December 2008. On April 1, 2009, both aircraft were ferried to the test facility in Zhukovsky in the Moscow region. The Russian media covered the event extensively. The aircraft continue their certification tests. The implementation of the Regional Jet Development Program will allow KnAAPO to drive the civilian aircraft share of its total output up to 50%. As far as KnAAPO is concerned, its participation in the program as an historical milestone. Such milestones in the plant's history have been quite a few. The transition from piston engine planes to jets is regarded by KnAAPO's personnel as the second birth of the plant. In 1950, the plant started producing the jet MiG fighters, with the first fighter built in Komsomolsk being the legendary MiG-15Bs. The aircraft was very important to the plant. Now we can say it openly, though previously it was hushed up. When Korea was at war, the North against the South, and the Americans supported the South, and we supported the North. Now we can openly say how our MiGs fought. In the early 50s, the air fights between Soviet MiGs and US fighters was the first ever clash of jet fighters. Mikoyan's fighters had an upper hand in the confrontation. Well, I guess the MiG-15 and then the MiG-15Bs were considered to be, in my opinion, the best fighters in the world at that time. Our MiG-15Bs was a match for the best U.S. fighter of the time, the American F-86 Sabre. Our MiG-15Bs was just as good, if not better, than the U.S. jets in dogfights. At the time, the MiG-15 had been in production at 7 aircraft factories throughout the Soviet Union, coming to Korea from Novosibirsk, Gorky, Tbilisi, etc. The air war was not much spoken about then, but it was guessed about, of course. The plant in Komsomolsk assumed a huge responsibility. Having launched the production of the new fighter, its personnel ran into considerable problems from the outset. The swept wing with the landing gear retracting into it, pressurized cockpit, and a drastically innovative ejection system all required reconstruction of most of the shops and building new dedicated production facilities. As a result, the plant had to learn to make the ejection seat, landing gear, and gun mounts independently. In spite of numerous difficulties, it even exceeded the fighter output target in 1951. During the Korean War, Mikoyan fighters proved to be dependable and rugged, for which some of the credit is due to the Komsomolsk aircraft makers, no doubt. The MiG's survivability was legendary, though the legends were grounded in quite solid facts. We had a pilot named Vasya Romankov. Once Sabres tried to make him land in their territory. They ran him ragged. He came back with his plane resembling the sieve due to bullet holes. We counted 75 of them. Still, he made its way back. This is what quality should be. The MiG-15 and then MiG-17 entering full-rate production brought the plant to a new level. It entered the world aircraft market, promoting these aircraft. The MiG-17F was exported to Algeria and Egypt. At about the same time, a license to produce the fighter was given to China. Over 50 years, the MiG-17 has fought in almost 24 military conflicts. The Soviet fighter has been in service with more than 30 air forces worldwide. The export of the MiG-17 proved a kind of export debut for KnAAPO. More than half a century has passed since then. Flight speeds have increased and utterly new planes emerged, but the products from KnAAPO remain in demand. Today's list of customers includes Indonesia, Venezuela, and Vietnam, in addition to the long-standing partner, China. We asked the Indonesian Chief Military Attaché, Indonesian Air Force Colonel Orsono for his opinion on the quality of KnAAPO's aircraft.
Kemudian
Evaluating the KnAAPO-built Sukhoi fighters,
pelatihan
the pilots and ground crews of the Indonesian Air Force
pesawat itu mereka telah dilatih
are thankful
di Rusia
for the high
ini.
quality of the fighters.
Mereka bangga akan
We are proud of using these advanced aircraft
kemudian
to uphold the national sovereignty
bertambahnya atau
and
datangnya
enhance the
pesawat
defensive
F-35
capabilities of our country.
Indonesia akan lebih maju.
Today, KnAAPO is a world-known brand name. The plant earned its international renown to a large extent due to its close cooperation with the Sukhoi Design Bureau. The cooperation dates back more than 50 years. By 1955, Sukhoi designed the Sukhoi 7 supersonic fighter.
Су-7 сверхзвуковой истребитель.
Because our MiG production was nearing an end, the plant needed a new aircraft to build.
Новая машина.
Once the production of the MiG-15 and MiG-17 was over, the plant found itself virtually with no job to do. Other companies were producing subsequent MiG models. At the time, Soviet governmental economic planners were unable to award the plant a worthy order, and suggested quite seriously the plant switch to making refrigerators.
До такой
How stupid and short-sighted one has to be to suggest an aircraft plant should make fridges.
предложить делать холодильники.
1,000, 2,000, or 5,000 workers can make fridges. But what should the rest do? If the whole of personnel had been kept busy with making fridges, the whole airfield would have been filled with fridges. To remedy the situation, the plant's leaders turned to the Aircraft Industry Ministry. Director Berezhnitsky flew to Moscow to see the minister. The talks resulted in the decision to launch the Sukhoi 7 production in Komsomolsk-on-Amur. However, not everybody agreed with the decision. Well, at the Sukhoi Design Bureau, our people were told, "Come on, can you manage to build this plane?" When Berezhnitsky came to the ministry, the ministry's chief production engineer told him, "Come on, we have caught a bluebird, and you want to nick it from us. You will fail to build a plane. You're not prepared, and bears still dropped to your plant." To weigh the pros and cons, the aircraft industry minister convened a special conference. The minister listened to everybody and said, "Me, I guess we should give the plane to Komsomolsk, because Komsomolsk and its people are used to thinking independently. They are so far away that they have nobody to turn to for help, so they have to make their own decisions. That is why I believe we should give the plane to them." His opinion was decisive. The Sukhoi 7 had to be produced virtually from scratch. The plant acted as a full-fledged production plant for the first time. This called for even harder work and greater responsibility than usual. Despite all difficulties, the first Sukhoi 7s were built very quickly. However, the Sukhoi 7 was not very widespread in the Soviet Air Force. It soon was followed by the Sukhoi 7B fighter bomber that was far from problem-free either. At the time, ground crews had a saying, "The designer is Sukhoi, the plane is raw, and the technique with sweat." A pun on the name of Sukhoi that literally means dry in Russian, which was true enough. The ground maintenance and the pre-flight preparation took a long time, which hampered the war-fighting capabilities of the plane. Then the plant and the Sukhoi Design Bureau devised an operational development program that allowed several unique Sukhoi variants further down the road. The aircraft was exported to Czechoslovakia, Poland, Egypt, Syria, Iraq, India, Afghanistan, Algeria, and North Korea. Overall, KnAAPO churned out about 2,000 Sukhoi 7s in all variants. The Su-7 determined the future of the aircraft plant in Komsomolsk. The production of Su-7 family turned the plant into a major Soviet tactical manufacturer. Later on, the fruitful cooperation with the Sukhoi Design Bureau led to the advent of outstanding aircraft known all over the world. No doubt, one of them is the Su-17 fighter bomber. The Su-17 was a heavily upgraded version of the Su-7B. The key feature setting the fighter bomber apart from its predecessor is its wing. The Su-17 had the variable swept wing. A special device enabled it to alter its sweep angle in flight. This allowed a considerable reduction in the run and increase in range. The Wonder Wing proved to be another test for KnAAPO.
Я могу только
Well,
сказать
take
про
for
одну
example the
деталь.
wing spar.
Лонжерон крыла.
In the
вот его
wing
часть,
root,
лонжерон
the spar is
стальной.
made of steel.
Раньше был клепанный.
It actually holds the
сейчас
whole structure of the
лонжерон стал
aircraft. It used to be riveted, now the spar is integral.
Так заготовка для
The
этого
blank of the
лонжерона
spar weighed
весила
2.5 tons,
2,5 тонны.
while the
готовый
finished
лонжерон
spar
весил 60
weighed
килограмм.
60 kilograms.
Все остальное
The rest ended up in metal chips. You must admit that the technology cannot be called economical. But it was not a manifestation of the Russian generosity. The thing is, the aviation industry of the time just had no presses to make more accurate parts. KnAAPO had to start from scratch once again. For instance, the first spar was made after 6 months. At that moment, the metal processing technology was undergoing a revolutionary change. The early digitally controlled machines cropped up. They revolutionized the machine shops and no doubt enhanced the degree of sophistication and production standards considerably. The Su-17 production yielded a wealth of experience that came in handy later. For instance, the plant participated in the production of the Su-24 tactical bomber in the 70s. Pivoting wing panel sections and fuselage tail sections with the empennage were shipped from Komsomolsk to the aircraft plant in Novosibirsk. The numerous versions of the Su-17 had been in production in Komsomolsk until 1990. The aircraft had been exported to 12 countries. Its total output over 20 years of production accounted for 2,864 units. The national leadership gave KnAAPO its due for the job done by awarding an Order of October Revolution to the plant in January 1971.
Внимание! Говорит и показывает Москва.
May 9th, 2009, Red Square, Victory Parade. A 9-ship fighter formation appears in the sky over the Kremlin. The aircraft of the world-famous display teams Swifts and Russian Knights buzz over the delighted crowd at an altitude of 300 meters. The flypast lasts only a few seconds, and the planes disappear in the distance, leaving a sense of pride for the nation. The team of KnAAPO has 2 reasons for feeling proud. The Russian Knights were flying KnAAPO-built Su-27 combat aircraft. The advent of the Su-27 resulted in a considerable change to the plant and determined its future for years to come.
Надо сказать, что
Of course, the Su-27 is radically different aircraft. It is not a variant of the Su-17 or any other plane. It is quite a unique plane, a unique program. The plant took up the production of the Su-27 in 1976. The manufacture of a development batch kicked off in Komsomolsk in 1978. The aircraft were to be subject to long-term comprehensive tests. A dramatic twist in the fighter's fate took place after the first several of them had been completed. The Sukhoi 27 was conceived as the opponent to the US fighter F-15, and its estimated characteristics were to be superior to those of the US aircraft by 15%. However, the modeling of air battles between the Soviet and US fighters were far from being encouraging. Then a hard decision was taken. The further manufacture was to be terminated and the plane was to be redesigned. As far as our plant is concerned, it had to fit the aircraft twice, because the modifications were so numerous that it was essentially a different plane. The decision was taken to produce the new plane without terminating the manufacture of the development batch that continued to be used for testing individual components of the future fighter. In the end, the first Sukhoi 27s entered service with the Soviet Air Force in 1985. Later on, the Sukhoi 27 served the base for several variants, most of which were in production in Komsomolsk. Today, various versions within the family make up the backbone of KnAAPO's production program. As a pilot, personally operating these planes, I should say the KnAAPO-built aircraft feature high quality. Pilots like KnAAPO's planes and strive to fly them. I think we will keep on cooperating closely. For the Air Force to keep on receiving advanced, top-notch planes to accomplish missions assigned to it. The full-rate production of the latest variants of the Sukhoi 27 family fighters has boosted the performance standards of the manufacturer, which is clearly seen during the development of the carrier-borne variant, the Sukhoi 33. KnAAPO designed the unique wing-folding unit to fit the fighter. The KnAAPO specialist successfully mastered the production of this unit. The unit measured almost 2 meters in length, with its manufacturing precision standing at microns. Even experts would say, upon seeing this unit, "My God, how can you make the unit? It's impossible to make. It's even impossible to fathom how it can be made." The trials of the carrier-borne version were crowned in December 1994 with a recommendation to adopt the aircraft for service. As many as 24 units had been built by then, due to which they were fielded with the 279th Carrier-Borne Fighter Air Regiment. The fighter designated as Sukhoi 27M in its time became a true milestone to KnAAPO. The work under the Sukhoi 27M program was launched as far back as the 80s, but had to be suspended due to the collapse of the Soviet Union. In the early 2000s, the program was revised, and KnAAPO took part in developing a drastically advanced Sumer maneuverable multi-role fighter, the Sukhoi 35. The Sukhoi 35 is the program conceived as an export-oriented one, as an aircraft featuring capabilities strong enough to woo foreign customers. And it should meet up-to-date requirements to this end. It is a serious program regarded today as a transition stage, and many ideas under the program have something in common with those featured by the future tactical fighter. The development of the Sukhoi 35 has been based on technical solutions being used in the development of the 5th generation fighter. The aircraft carries a cutting-edge avionics suite. It's powered by swiveling nozzle engines and can use all current and future air-launched weapons. As a test pilot, I would say that any test flight is aimed at meeting certain targets. Certainly, some faults crop up on every test flight. and naturally are ironed out quickly. Nonetheless, the aircraft leaves a very good impression. Its flight control system and engine make it very comfortable to fly, as the data display solutions do. It's a nice plane to fly. I realize that it will be comfortable to pilots in line units to operate the plane and to do their job. In addition to manufacturing Generation 4++ fighters, the team of plant pegs its future in the development of the 5th generation fighter. KnAAPO has launched work under the program as part of the Sukhoi holding company. I'm certain that the most difficult job is quite within the Komsomolsk plant's depth. Frankly, I do not know anyone who could handle the job better. KnAAPO is a key company, and I guess it will remain so as part of the United Aircraft Corporation for years to come.
The
Komsomolsk-on-Amur Aircraft Production Association, named after Yuri Gagarin, is a Russian aircraft industry major. A truly viable company that manufactures up-to-date products because we produce, along with production standard products, examples under prototypes programs. The examples that are, of course, the future of the company and the future of our city, Khabarovsk territory, and I guess Russian aviation as well. We need to focus our efforts on keeping the company busy in the coming year, preserve our personnel, attain our technical renovation targets, and be fully prepared for running the products that are now in prototype production. Russian Prime Minister Vladimir Putin paid a visit to KnAAPO on May 11, 2009. The government's interest in the company is quite understandable. KnAAPO has always played a key part in the economic development of the country. It is a local economic mainstay that is, no doubt, the leading company in the Khabarovsk territory. The company proved to be prepared for the challenges posed by the world economy, and the Russian government appreciated that. All problems the plant has now can be resolved at governmental level. Therefore, the company is facing bright vistas. It has a future, and hence there is a future for the city of Komsomolsk-on-Amur, for the Khabarovsk territory, and for our youth. We are proud of having such a plant. Komsomolsk remains an industrial center of the whole of the Russian Far East. It retains top-notch personnel, skilled enough to make cutting-edge products. Komsomolsk was set up as a city of youth, a city of purposeful, confident people. Today, its aircraft makers remain loyal to the long tradition. My grandfather, father, and mother worked here, and my brother does. My whole family has been in the aircraft making industry, and therefore I cannot imagine anything better for myself. To me, the plant means a career, because I'm learning here as if in college. I like my job. It's interesting to me, and the team is good here too. It's a very pleasant thing to know that you work for the major aircraft manufacturer in the Russian Far East and contribute to the development of the aircraft industry. I'm not going to go somewhere else to look for some other job. I think my son may opt for something else, but everything depends on the calling. My calling is to make planes.
верю до конца. Не слабеют, не стареют комсомольские сердца.
We started our film with a song about Komsomolsk. Its lyrics reflect the Komsomolsk natives' attitude towards life and doing their own thing in a very accurate manner.
Не стареют комсомольские.
In this connection, it's worth mentioning the man who will remain forever young in the memory of the peoples throughout the world, Yuri Gagarin. The plant was named after him in 1977, and for a good reason. Gagarin came to the plant in 1967. This unique footage shows Yuri Gagarin walking along the quay just like the Komsomol builders were stepping on the bank of the Amur. There is something symbolic in this, an invisible link between the pioneers. Gagarin pioneered space flights. Komsomolsk aircraft makers have always striven to be the first too. They have endured a lot over the past 75 years. Today, KnAAPO has again come to the scratch, facing another stretch of the long and glorious road, the road to the high sky.